You're listening to the Southampton Delivery Podcast, a podcast dedicated to the Southampton Football Club and all of the SFC fans.
If you want to have guarantees, you have to buy a washing machine.
Fonte with a scooping header.
We don't lose a match, either we win or we learn. And today we learned.
Отдача, Остин! Все-таки забил!
It's infield to Mane, 25 yards out. Lovely ball for Bella. Onside, 1-0. Buffon shot! Oh my word!
Unbelievable. He ran around the pitch like Bambi on ice. It was very, very embarrassing to watch.
And now, your host, Matt Markstone.
Hello and welcome to episode 133 of the Southampton Delivery Podcast, a podcast and newsletter dedicated to the Southampton Football Club and all of the SFC fans. Available right here on southamptondelivery.com. My name is Matt Markstone. I am the host of the show, and no matter where you are, no matter how you may be listening, whether this is your first time or you've been here before, thanks for making the show part of your day. I hope that you enjoy it. And with the season getting ever closer, it's a busy week around here. And some of the interviews that I had lined up for this episode didn't quite work out. So this week I am joined by Jay from the Southampton page, which is the official partner page of the show. Jay was kind enough to join me on very short notice. If you want to get in touch with him, you can do that on Twitter at CXEAdams. You can also find the page, of course, at Southampton page on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. The links, as always, are in the show notes. And I'll be honest that at the moment when it finally became clear that the show wasn't going to go ahead as planned, I was a little bit irritated. Messaged Jay. He said, "Don't worry, man, we'll do it tomorrow." So on Monday morning, we got up, we recorded, and we finished recording as the news came out that both Romeu and Stevens were actually injured leading up to last week's match against Feyenoord. So we mentioned that, but the good news is we had lots and lots of questions to answer. We didn't quite get to all of them, but we spent most of the show trading answers back and forth to questions that you sent in. So if you are one of the people who did that, thank you so much. It makes the show a heck of a lot more fun when we have some choice and variety in the questions that we can answer. And we'll do our best to always get to as many of them as we can. So thank you for that. Some other people I'd like to thank, both Steve and Tom Murray are the newest patron members for the show. So thank you, Steve and Tom, for jumping on board with that. Tom, of course, has been on the show before. He is part of the audio description commentary team that works for Saints. So if you're going to the match this week and you need, or somebody else you know needs audio description commentary, that's your guy. Tom and his colleague also run the Under the Lights podcast. So if you're interested in that, you enjoy the description that he and his colleagues give you, check out the Under the Lights podcast. You can find it. I've retweeted links and things like that. You can get them on Twitter, or give Tom a follow on Twitter and you can get to it that way as well. But Tom and Steve, thanks for joining. They now have priority for having their questions answered on the show each and every week. They have access to a private chat that is only available to Patreon members, and Tom is eligible to listen to the bonus episodes that will be coming out over the next couple of weeks. They get one a month, and it's actually a lot of fun. So more fun for me just because I get to talk to people, and that's really what this is all about. So this week, Jay and I answer a ton of your questions. We laugh a lot. We make fun of people. We probably make some really, really poor decisions, and the dog is barking. So let's jump into it. It's quite a lengthy chat as it is, and we'll get to that now. And just so you know, coming next week is our season preview episode with a couple of really, really special guests. So if you're not subscribed, you should do that so you don't miss it. All right. Yeah, here we go. I'd like to welcome back to the Southampton Delivery Podcast. Jay runs the Southampton page, which you can find on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Southampton page. You can also find him on Twitter at CXEAdams. Jay, welcome back to the show, and thanks for joining me on short notice.
Yeah, thanks for having me back again. I said I'll be back quicker than everyone thought, but yeah, here I am.
Yeah. So initially, I had a couple things set up for this week, and both happened to fall through kind of at the last minute, and I was not in a good mood. Had we recorded on Sunday, I would have been in a really bad mood. But in all things considered, like it's not that bad. Like, and so I was feeling a little like childish for the way I was. I don't think I acted out in any way, but at least not publicly. But I was not in a good mood. So I'm over it. We're here, and we have loads and loads of questions to go through today. So we'll talk a little bit about the past week. We'll jump into the questions. We'll answer as many as we can, and we'll look forward to the season preview episode, which is next week. And then, the season is here. So, yeah, I mean, first off, anything new going on with you since we talked, which was not that long ago?
I think we're still on the same levels. We obviously started with 90th minute, and it's going well so far. We did try and link up with Amazon, but the replies to them are, as anyone knows, dealing with Amazon, not the best. It's taken us 2 days just to get an email from them. So, yeah, that's a bit slow on the ground.
So, quick Amazon story. I am an Amazon Prime subscriber. I use it for a lot of stuff. And actually, one of the people in the Patreon group, one of the things that happens is we often send books. After I'm done reading them, I will send them to one of the Patreon members. One of the guys that lives in the UK said, yeah, I'll take the book. And so I went to go ship it to him, and I went down to the post office, and they're like, it's going to be $24 US to ship it. And I was like, hold on. I got on Amazon. It was like, I can buy it. I can buy him a new copy for 13. So like, I'll do that. So I went back out to outside. I got on Amazon, punched in his address, shipped it. It was supposed to be delivered last week. They lost it. And I was on the phone with them yesterday. They can't find it. They can't refund me until after today. So I have to call back tomorrow, and either they will try to send a new copy or find it. And I'm hoping that I haven't just typed in his address incorrectly. But Amazon, normally pretty good here in the US. I'm not so far very happy with them in the UK, both on your instance and mine. So I haven't communicated that with the Patreon member yet. So maybe I should do that before this comes out. But anyway, well, one more thing for me to take care of. But luckily, everybody that seemed to go from Southampton to China and back seemed to do it safely, and they've been to Southampton, China, Ireland, and then Holland, and now I think back in Southampton. So it's been a weird kind of week for Saints, I think. But yeah, I hope the 90-minute stuff is going okay with you. Hopefully, you didn't hear whatever that just was on my end. So yeah, I mean, do you want to start just with the preseason? Because I mean, for you, the point of preseason, I think we've talked about it before, is basically is to get the squad ready, right? It's about fitness. It's about implementing the system. It's not so much about results, but the results in preseason have been pretty good. I don't think we've lost yet. No,
the results have been quite good. Unbeaten so far. Not like I said, not that that means anything, but yeah, it's been a good pre-season for us. There's still little things that need fixing, but I suppose that happens with every club, and it's not going to be 100% perfect. That's why we need these kind of games to work out what needs to be fixed before the start of the season, because that's when the mistakes or whatever needs sorting needs to be done by, the Burnley game. Yeah, and we have one more game to kind of go, where you would imagine it would be basically the full starting 11, which I think we'll come to. We'll talk a little bit more about it when we talk about the game against Feyenoord. But yeah, I think the real kind of, in terms of like team news, is Classy's gone, and I'm struggling to remember exactly when that happened, whether we've done a show since then or not, which Instagram will tell me, depending on when I did it. Yeah, I think it had already happened by the time the episode came out. But I think maybe it happened after we recorded, and I didn't talk about it last week because we had the Southampton women's episode, which was a real pleasure to do. And then they went out and played against Spurs yesterday and kept it mostly respectable. So I think that's a super good result for them. And if you look around at some of the other scores that have happened, because Southampton women's plays in the 4th tier, and then Spurs obviously play in the 1st tier, and so for them to keep it somewhat respectable. Some of the other matches, like I think the other Southampton team may have lost against Manchester United or something like that, and it was like 9-1 or 9-0 or something like that. But we don't need to talk about that necessarily. So anyway, yeah. Also, thanks to everybody who wished my wife and I a happy anniversary. That was very nice of everybody. 10 years. It's been 10 years. I can't believe it. So thanks. All right. So let's jump into this a little bit. So I mean, preseason is about fitness. Therefore that trip to China, like, doesn't necessarily like fit. Like, we learned last year that a lot of the trip to China, the facilities aren't as good. The weather is not conducive to really great training. The air quality is not perfect. It's a long ways away. There's jet lag and stuff. So the way they staggered it this year, they basically showed up, trained when they got there, went to sleep, woke up, played a game, got on a plane, came home. Which I think is maybe the best thing you could have done. I was surprised to see Ralph there, but maybe he has to be. But then what did you make of the squad that went over to China?
Yeah, well, obviously the Preston game, everyone was a bit amused because there were some players missing, like Yoshida was left out, Adams was left out, Shane Long was left out. So there was going to be a mix, and it was one of them weird ones how it was going to work, because when they were saying there's going to be 2 squads going out, I was thinking, how is that going to work? Because Ralph, as you said, went to China, because I thought someone else was going to go out there and he was going to stay in Ireland, because a group stayed in Ireland. So, yeah, it worked out quite well, and it seemed like it was a beneficial trip. The youngsters got an experience, and there were some older players, like Fraser Forster, who hasn't played a lot for Saints over the years. He managed to get himself a game, and as far as I remember, he got a clean sheet, so that will help his confidence, even if it was just a pre-season game.
Yeah, the match seemed to be, I think from everything I read, played at a slower pace, and mostly just because of, I think, the weather was extremely hot, very humid. You could see even in the pictures, even like the guys look like they're wringing their shirts out almost in terms of just dripping sweat. But they didn't hesitate to jump on them. Adams got another early goal. Long got in on it. Valerie scored, and then we got a goal in the 90th minute to kind of seal it off. But I don't think it was ever in any kind of danger. But I think it was a good showing for the team to go over there and be kind of dominant, even with the younger team that I think we took. Yeah,
and of course, as you saw by our Twitter page, we won a trophy. So Adams was right after all. The trophy always coming this season.
Started early. I think that they were always going to take a younger squad over there, mostly I think because of maybe what you have to deal with in terms of what they've learned last year, even though Ralph wasn't here then. But also it's a chance for some of the younger guys to go and play and spend some time with Ralph. You have the plane flight over and back. You have the night in the hotel and the training session that I think was, it basically kind of a little bit of a show for people over there. And then you have the game where, you look at who's around, and all of a sudden these guys got to go like, hey, I'm actually going to get to play, and then a lot of them do get in and get to play a few minutes. And I think it's good. And I also think it's good that we have guys like Che Adams and Shane Long actually scoring. And I think it all kind of works out. I think that trip to China has to be viewed as a success, as much as it is basically kind of a PR move. Like you have to do it maybe to expand the market. I know we had some fans over there that were from Hong Kong, especially, that were able to make it over to the game. So that's good for them to get to see the team. But I think that's a totally good thing. But meanwhile, like a lot of the first team players and a lot of the guys that we would expect to see, I think on opening day, stayed back in Ireland for just kind of a more intense training. And then Ralph was back out there, the day after they played in China, which is insane, but also kind of nice to see.
Yeah, because he said on his interview that it was going to be a tough week, and he travelled to China with the lads and then headed to Ireland. I think there was a coach and staff already set up, and I think it was Alec Gross, I think. I'm hoping I'm saying his name right, but he was taking the sessions while Ralph was away. So I think the team was still getting that intense training because they needed it still, and it seemed like everyone was still working together, and there was a nice arrival in Ireland as well.
Yeah, and once they were there, it just seemed like back to normal. There was no real hesitation. It just looked like business as usual once they arrived, and they quickly kind of got ready and then traveled kind of, I think, maybe Saturday morning or Friday evening over to Holland, and were ready for the game that they played yesterday, where again, they played very, very well, I think, going forward at least. I didn't get to see it. The games haven't been televised here in the U.S., and I have a strict rule against potentially giving my computer some sort of virus to watch a preseason friendly, where I don't do it. But from everything I heard, that it seemed like the team played well going forward. A little bit shaky at the back, which is I don't think it's anything new.
Yeah, I managed to, because they actually put it on Facebook Live, because people were asking about, obviously, people from different countries, and it was a UK thing, and that caused a bit of anger, I suppose, because people now imagine a game like that would be you better watch on telly normally, but unfortunately, broadcasting rights stopped all that sort of thing. But watching it yesterday, the first half was good, and it was quite a strong team, actually. It looked like the sort of team you could imagine starting at Burnley, to be fair, bar no Romeu and who's the other person? Oh, actually, Jack Stevens, but I wouldn't have him in my starting lineup anyway. So Romeu was missing. So yeah, apart from that, the team looked like the team that I would, as I said, can see starting against Burnley. And then the second half, it sort of changed because it was more players that hadn't had many minutes, and you could tell the dynamic had changed because they bring on people that were less. I'm not saying had less fitness, but they're not used as much. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And just to touch back on the travel of Hasenhüttl, Dublin to Macau is an 18-hour flight. So you got two of those, 3 days apart, maybe not even 3 days apart. That's insane. And so to see him back out there and actually smiling, I got to give him a lot of credit. But yeah, I think they're still trying to build up minutes. I think they're still trying to build up the system. I thought that one of the things in the second half, it looked like we went to a back four, and it looked like the two center backs that we chose to go with were Bednarak and Vestergaard, which is not, there's not a lot of pace there, but I do think that over the last, I would say over the last season and a half, maybe, even though he was left out largely under Hughes in the first half of last season for no reason whatsoever, I think Bednarak's kind of been the best center back we have. But I also think that Yoshida has been kind of very influential in terms of how we've played. And I think he's been the one kind of calming presence. I just don't think he's quite, I think sometimes you need some people to kind of yell and be a little bit louder than he is and maybe be a little bit more commanding. And I think that's what we're missing in the back line. But I do think that Bednarak and Vestergaard, if you look at where we finished, and this is a point that was made by Steve, one of the patrons, he pointed out, if you look at where we've been in the past couple of seasons, that Bednarak and Vestergaard are at least that good in terms of a center back partnership. There's no way you're going to look at Bednarak and Vestergaard and say they're not good enough to play for a team who finished, under 15th the last couple of seasons. I think that's fair to say. Do we want better? Sure. And I think they can probably get better if we can improve around them a little bit, but yeah. So, I don't know, any worries, I think with, in terms of playing the back three or back five versus playing the 4-2-2-2-2 or however many twos are supposed to be there?
That's my new thing. I know everyone would say to me, well, it's pre-season, you shouldn't get too emotional, but the defence still, to me, had that shakiness, and we know on record that fans want a centre-back. Ralph has said he wants to enforce a centre-back. We need to clear funds for that to happen. That's my biggest thing from now until the transfer window closing. We need to get that centre-back signed, and we need the funds to do that. And we still need to get rid of Lamina and Austin. Because if them two go, I think that will clear the path to us getting a centre-back that we've all been looking for.
Yeah, I think that the main focus, of everything this summer was to clear the squad out, right? Make the squad smaller. And we haven't had that many people leave. And I think I have to constantly remind myself that, and I think I write about it every single week in the newsletter, is that the contracts we've given people over the past 4 or 5 seasons, some of the extensions that we've signed to people, and done in part because the club was being poached by people. And when the guys only have a year left on their contract, they have that kind of, they can force a move almost because, either you sell them now or you wind up doing what Arsenal did to Aaron Ramsey, which is where he walks away at the end of a season for free. and that's not necessarily what we want. And so you tie these guys to longer term deals on decent wages, and then that makes them more expensive when other teams want to come in and buy them. But at the same time, if they don't hit those heights and nobody wants them, then you're stuck paying those fees. You're stuck with that wage bill. You look at Fraser Forster. I think Jordy Classie's wages were an issue. I don't think a lot of other teams can afford the fee and the wages combined. So you wind up, I think, just terminating the contract. And luckily it was by mutual consent. So I don't know that we pay him a whole lot going out because he wanted to go somewhere else. But if he didn't want to go, he could stick around and just collect those wages. So I think the club was caught there trying to protect itself in the transfer market for being poached and then winding up with some players who nobody wants. And I think you're going to wind up seeing the same thing with Lamina, even though we want to get rid of him. It looks like it doesn't look like he's in the plans. Same thing with Austin. Teams have got to come in and pay those wages because they have very little incentive to take a pay cut unless they just really want to go play football somewhere. And other than Mario Lamina posting, to all the haters, why are we still following him? I don't know, to be honest. So we'll see what happens. But but yeah, I think we definitely need to get rid of some people. We haven't really cleaned out the squad that much, and in the center back, I think will be good. But there are a couple of players who've kind of come back into the fold. Hoot has been around. Boufal has been around and smiling and scoring goals and stuff. So do you foresee those two coming into the squad and making an impact? And if you had to just pick kind of one of them to do it, who do you think it would be?
Yeah, looking at them both, I mean, Wesley Hoyt come back. He was one of the shocks in the squad, really, because when we saw the lineups to go, he was on the squad, and I just thought of all the nightmares from last year, and look, he was one that I thought we needed to get rid of this summer, and Ralph seems to have given him a new chance. He said in the interview with Solent, that him and Cedric have got a new slate, but they're still behind people that are in front of them. He played not too bad yesterday. I think people were getting a little bit carried away saying he's transformed. I think that was a little bit of a exaggeration. But no, Boufal's another one, actually. Everyone's quite happy with him. I don't know what, he's become everyone's like, oh, he needs a chance. And he did take a chance yesterday. He was a bit slow to start with, but he hasn't played for over a year, and he's trying to get used to playing here again. But no, to answer your question, I would probably say Boufal was more equipped to push himself on, sort of thing, going forward, if he was to stay. Because I still don't know if Ralph's keeping him or not. So we don't know until the transfer window closes.
Yeah, he seemed to, from what everybody was writing about yesterday and Twitter and everything else, which we, with a grain of salt, that people get really either excited or upset or whatever. But he seemed to be tracking back and working hard. Then you add the goal to it, so I think that's all good. I think he, if he comes back and applies himself, I think we all realize that he has definitely the talent and the ability to be a very good footballer, but he needs somebody to connect with him and kind of push him on and get him to put in that effort consistently and not be kind of he seemed to be almost petulant. Think about the celebration when he ran back towards Pellegrino after he scored that goal. You think of things like that I don't think Ralph's going to put up with. And I think last season, you kind of look at what the squad needed when Ralph got here, and there wasn't time for any games. It was just this is the squad we're using. This is how we're moving forward. This is what we have to do because we have to survive. And now you maybe have a little bit more time for people to think of Hoot, think of Boufal, think of other people who are kind of on the fringes to say, this is the system we have. This is what we want to do. Are you going to buy into this or not? And if you choose not to, then that's fine. Then you got to go. But there's a little bit more time to kind of focus on the individual players and figure out how people fit in. Whereas I think last season was just very, very important just to decide this, either you're in or you're out. And right now this is the line, and then everybody has to go. And so I think that's what it was. But I mean, so we basically have a center back. We have Lamina and Austin need to go. Classy is gone. Boufal and Hoot are question marks. I think that basically is the news, because there hasn't been a lot of links going on, unless. What did you hear as we were talking? Something on Sky Sports came up.
Oh yeah, actually, there's two things I've just thought of. Actually, Lamina, Sky Sports saying that they want Lamina to replace Gay
At Everton, right?
Yeah. So I can see something happening there. Hopefully, if they're interested, I hope a deal's done quickly there, because we just need Toxic Like Lemonade out as soon as possible. So I'm hoping that's done quickly. And the other one, actually, that I forgot to mention was Carrillo has been linked with a move to Boca Juniors. That was mentioned in the Daily Echo.
Okay.
He's another one that I forgot to mention. So hopefully Boca Juniors have got, I mean, they're not going to pay the stupid money we paid with Monaco literally stole from us.
Right.
That's what I'm going to say it was. So Carrillo and Lamina hopefully might have some movement and some wage free.
I mean, Boca Juniors is not a small club. That's a pretty big club, but the money is different in South America. And I think if he went down there, I think the one place where it might be, we have a question about the atmosphere around St. Mary's. There's no question about atmosphere at Boca Juniors. That is is an intense, crazy place. And if you ever watch any of the videos, especially when they play River Plate, I think it gets insane. Like, I don't know. That's the kind of game I'm not sure I would take my son to or my family. But it would be interesting to see it one way or another. We have a lot of questions. Do you want to move towards them, and we'll get through as many as we can? And people send in questions on Twitter, Instagram, reply to the Instagram story, on the Facebook post. And then the patrons, of course, can either comment on patreon.com/SFC delivery or in the Patreon only group chat, which is what one of the benefits they get in addition to an extra podcast per month for those who subscribe at the $5 a month level. So if you're interested in that, you can do that. Patreon.com/SFC delivery. It is a lot of fun. And we have a couple of new patrons that I mentioned at the very top of the show. So that is good. But Jay, do you mind if I start with, if I choose the first question?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. I should have probably chosen a question before I asked you that. All right. So this question comes on Twitter, and it says, what is the likely ceiling for the club, but also the likely floor? Be brutally honest. To be honest, I think we could be top 10, maybe even push for 7th or 8th. But I think the floor is probably around 12th to 15th. There's a chance we could get 6th, but probably not higher. He then follows it up with, don't feel like you have to address it, but we're going to. I think this season, the ceiling, I think we will hit a wall somewhere around 8th place that I'm not sure we'll be able to kind of jump over. And I would expect games for us to be competitive for the most part against almost everybody in the league, given the style of play that we're having and the finishing of some of the players like Adams has shown so far. If he can continue that, I think it makes us much more dangerous. But at the same time, I think Leicester City have gotten a lot better. I think Everton could still be good. They have the potential to do that. And then you have kind of the normal top 6. So I think that maybe makes it a little bit more difficult to jump that much further. It'd be interesting to see if Watford can do it. And then, honestly, the promoted teams, it'll be interesting to see kind of where they fit in. I think they're going to be pretty good. But we will talk to some of them for the Patreon episodes coming up over the next week or two before the season starts. But I don't know. It'll also be interesting to see how Wolves and things cope with the Europa League. So I think that's always an interesting thing. But we can't pretend that they're going to be in trouble yet, because they're not. But for you, I think we'll hit a wall about 8th. I don't think we'll get any higher than that. I mean, the floor is always, I think, would be relegation, but I don't think we'll fall that far. I think you could expect something, if it all went wrong, 16th, 17th, or maybe 18th, but I don't want to say that out loud, really.
Yeah, I think, being honest, I'd say 11th, 12th, I think would be a good marker. again, if we could get that centre back sorted, I think we could aim more 8th, 9th. I don't think we're that level. We won't be in a relegation battle, I hope, because my heart can't take another year of are we staying up or are we going down. I think our squad's much better. We've got a better forward line. We've got Adams, Ginepro, Redmond, Long, Obafemi. We've obviously got Booth healthy returns. We've got so many options up there. I think we'll have enough to get goals. It just, for me, it's the defence. So if we get that centre back, I think we could aim for 9th, 10th. But we just need a season where it's a bit more solid. And then I would look at the season after for maybe a 7th, 8th push, depending on how this season goes for me. We need to rebuild before we look at Europe again. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair. And we have some questions along those lines, I think, on Instagram. But thanks to Hamilton Tyler for sending that in. You can find him on Twitter at Cosmic Wozniak. But he's the guy who sent that question in. Jay, do you want to choose a question?
Yeah, does this matter which?
No, go wherever you want.
There's one question here that says, do you think either McCarthy or Forster will be sold before this transfer window closes? Is the question. I don't know if you want to go first on that one.
I think you and I may have talked about this a little bit, but it always seems to change, and it's interesting because both of them have gotten minutes over the period or over preseason. Adam Leach mentioned several times last season that Forster, by all accounts, looks the best in training of any of the goalkeepers, Gunn, McCarthy, anybody. But the game, he wasn't quite confident enough to do that. He didn't look great when he came in and played last season when he got his one match. And there were a lot of things, that we can talk about then. I mean, it was completely, I think all the pressure was off by that point, but I think honestly, you have to look at the wages he's on, and we talked about it a little bit earlier. I think the wages for Forster are prohibitive. I think that a lot of teams cannot afford to foot that bill. So I think if one of them was going to move, I think it would be McCarthy. I don't necessarily know if that's a good move or not for the club. We have a new goalkeeping coach, so maybe he changes Ralph's mind, or he thinks things are different. But I think if either one of them was going to move, I think it would be McCarthy over Forster, simply because of the wages. But I'm not necessarily. I mean, I haven't really seen anybody come in for them. We're down to just under 2 weeks of for this, or actually a week and a half basically. So there's not a lot of time left, and sometimes loan moves and things can be arranged at short notice, but it's always dicey to wait till the last minute. We saw what happened with Ings last year, where we barely got him in. So honestly, I would say it was McCarthy is the more likely of the two, but that's only because of the wages that Forster's on, and I don't really, I'm not confident that either one of them are going to go. What do you think?
Yeah. I think in the club's dream, if they were going to sell anyone first, it'd be Forster, because as you mentioned with the wages, the problem is with Forster is he's on a deal until 2022. I think he looks his mood's changed because he posts a lot on Instagram more, and he's happy to be involved with the group. But the problem is going into the season, the way we've got to look at it is we've got 3 goalkeepers. Obviously, Forster's been sat on the bench with McCarthy, but in the Premier League, you don't normally have 2 goalkeepers sat on the bench. So the way we've got to look at it is who's going to be that number 2, because whoever's not on the bench is going to be sitting out the season unless there's injuries. But being fair, you don't really see injuries happen much for goalkeepers, do you? So I think you're right. If anyone's going to go, it would be McCarthy, but I think the club's dream would be Forster due to the fact of the amount of wages. But I think McCarthy's on high wages too. I'm not sure. I'm sure someone said he's near Forster, not over him. I think he's near Forster. So, but then I wouldn't be surprised if we're stuck with them. I'm not stuck. I like both goalkeepers, and I think they've been great to us. But I think we need to get rid of one, or I think, as you mentioned, on the last bit of your question, I think a loan deal might be sorted for one of them, which isn't the best, but I think it might happen due to the fact I don't think Ralph wants three keepers sat on the side.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have a way for us to find out. So pick a number that you think McCarthy is on per week, tweet it angrily at him, and we'll see if his father-in-law responds.
Oh, yes. Is that referring to Gallagher? Yes, I'm guessing.
When I saw that reply, I was like, oh, that hurts. Which, I don't know, made me laugh. No offense to the account that was replied to. And then, yeah, I thought it was great all the way around. So thanks for that question. That came from JSOBOTKA. I'm not going to try to pronounce that, _50. So yeah, thank you for that question. T. Bizantz, who is one of the contributors to the newsletter, he actually will have the long read this week, which will be a refreshing look at the squad. I can say that because it has to do with drinks and alcohol and beer. So he'll have that out this week. But he's got a question that basically says, how has the short transfer window affected transfers compared to previous seasons? And I don't know, like I don't think I've asked you, and I haven't really, I don't think, talked about it. The idea that the window is going to close before the season starts this time means that it condenses the time for deals to get done, and whether that makes pressure or puts pressure on teams to get things done earlier or not, or the teams are still going to sit and wait. I think the one kind of thing that contracts expire the end of July or end of June, sorry. And so, basically the beginning of July, you start to see a little bit more movement as people either enter the last year of their contract or their contracts are officially over. And you still have over a month to get those moves sorted out and done and for guys to sign. I think you saw with Saints, they started to get things done relatively early. And I'm not sure if that's due down to the length of the window, or if that's simply just the idea that Ralph wants a full preseason with as many players as he can. Doesn't really apply to Djenepo because obviously he was at AFCON. Buffal was away as well. So we have guys who are away doing other things, but I think it has more to do with the fact that Ralph is pretty clear about the types of players he wants to sign versus just the shortness of the window. But getting them then early allows them to have a preseason. And I think it'll be good to kind of have the squad, you know exactly who's coming in and who's with the team before the season starts, which I think is always good because there's no pushing for a move away 3 weeks into the season, as we have seen with players in the past.
Yeah, and I've always been a fan that the transfer window should be shut before the season starts, because we could be, we've had it in the past. You have players that, like Van Dijk Van Dijk started the season with us, and then that transfer went on while we were still playing. He wasn't in the squads, that sort of thing. So I think it's a good thing. It's funny, really. You see clubs, they seem to all, in the last week, seem to go, oh, let's do something. Whereas they've had, because that's what I think, that's what's going to happen with our players. You see, I think interest in Austin will arrive last week, because teams seem to think, you know what, we've got all summer, we've got a week, do you know what I mean? We'll do it in the last week, it builds up to the season. I said teams are very clever in that way, but it seems you think, well, you hold on a minute, you've got the weeks before to build up, because there's a little transfer window before the actual transfer window opens. We've done our business earlier, we still want to get a couple more in, but our problem has been getting players out, which we know anyway, and we've spoken about over many times. So it's just getting the right balance before the start of the season.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at, we have more questions that have more names in them that I keep forgetting are even at the team. And I don't know. There's a lot of work to be done, and I do agree with you though about the transfer window needing to be shut. And I think Arsene Wenger always wanted that, and they finally gave it to him after he left, which is great. All right. Do you have a question? It's I think you're up.
Let's have a look. This one's from another friend of ours, Aidan. He's asked, out of Wesley Hoyt, Jack Stevens, Mario Lemina, Austin, and Mario and Mohamed El Anousi, which one would you welcome back in the team fold and why? I don't know if you want to go with that one first on who you'd have out of them.
Well, Hoot has basically blocked everything on Twitter and Instagram and nothing in real life. Stevens seems very nice. He could still play defensive midfield, according to most people on Twitter. Not a center back of Premier League quality, according to everybody on Twitter. Lamina, I don't even know what to say. I think Mario and I have a little bit more in common than I'd like to admit now after my driving infraction last week, which I don't really want to talk about. Austin, I don't know what happened to him this week. I haven't heard anything from him since his Twitter account was taken away, you would assume by his wife. And then Elyounoussi, I mentioned earlier, he's one of the guys I kind of forgot he was around because I haven't seen a lot of him. But of all of those guys, you have to imagine, if just looking at the list, I would take Elyounoussi because he's Norwegian and I'm part Norwegian, and there it is. But really, if Buffal is coming back, then I don't think there's space for him. I think Elyounoussi would have to go. You look at the striking options we have. I think Austin is down the list quite a ways. Lamina, probably the best midfielder there. I mean, and maybe the best midfielder we have, arguably. He is very, very talented. He just doesn't get it. He doesn't fit in. He's not committed to the cause, and that's an issue with me. So after all that, Wesley Hoot, I think, which I don't think I imagined I would say ever. But in terms of if we're going to play a back three, we need a little bit of cover. He maybe seems like he's grown up just a little bit. And if Buffal would have been on this list, I would have picked him immediately, because some of the images, I don't know if you saw from some of the training, and whether the club is specifically kind of choosing these images to go out, but the ones where Hassan Hudl and Buffal are talking one-on-one, and he's got his hand kind of on his shoulder or whatever it is, and they're both smiling, and you can tell I don't know if you can tell, there looks to be something going on between the two of them that signals that, hey, that there's a message being conveyed from one to another, and then you see the performance that he had over the weekend, and you would think that would be that's what you want to see. But of the ones that Aidan gave us the choice of, I think I would have to go with Hoot.
Yeah, I mean, the list is. I hope you don't mind. I'm going to rattle through each name myself. Stevens, I would rather I'm not, because I don't want everyone to say that I'm attacking him, but I'd rather he didn't play for us again, because I just don't think he's our standard. Lamina, as much as he's one of our best midfielders, his social media has been an absolute disgrace to the club, and to be honest, I'd rather he left right now. If I could get him in a taxi to Everton, Man United, Liverpool, even the United States, I would get him in there now. So I know you don't want him, but you would have him anyway. Austin, another one. I mean, he's frozen somewhere, so someone needs to defrost him. I don't know. Like I said, he's obviously with his wife somewhere on a holiday. Love it. That's not going to help us. So I wouldn't take him back. And Elyounoussi, he's about as much used as a chocolate teapot. I don't know if you've ever heard that saying.
Is that an English saying? Because I have never heard that in my life.
Yeah, chocolate teapot. Basically useless. That's what,
yeah.
So out of them, and so I think Aidan, you've let me down here. I wish you put Buffal on the list, because me and Matt would have had our answer. But I will go with, and I hope he listens to this, so he is, I'm disappointed. I'd pick Wesley Hoyt after all that. So yeah, and obviously, if anyone doesn't know what chocolate teapot is, Google it. That's my best advice on that one.
All right.
Which I'm sure Matt's doing right now.
No, I'm writing a note to myself for something I want to ask you before we're done.
Yeah, and before anyone asks, it's not a dodgy word, so you won't get any viruses from putting chocolate teapot in on Google.
Good. Well, I think I get it, but we will see. All right, so note is down. I'm going to jump down to some of the Patreon questions, but we can still pick questions from other places because we have plenty to go through, and I'm having a good time. I hope the listeners are as well. I hope you are too, Jay. Let's see. So one of the new Patreon members, Steve says, question: if you need, how many goals do you think Adams will score this next season? Another would be, what do you think the top scorer and assist leader will be come May? So, two questions from Steve from Patreon. How many goals for Adams? And then who do you think is our top scorer and assist leader by the end of the season based on what you've seen so far? So I'll let you go first with this one.
How many goals do you think Adams will score? How many do we need for the title? No, in all seriousness, I think to cover both questions, I think he's going to be our top goal scorer. I think he'll get, I don't know if you know offhand, what was our top goals last year? Was it Redmond, wasn't it? I don't know what his...
I think overall, if you take all competitions, I think Redmond and Ings were tied.
Yeah, so I think, I don't want to seem like I'm going too optimistic here, but I think if Adams could get 16, 15, I think would be, I don't know if that's too high, or I think that's quite a good level. Obviously, if he gets more and wins the Golden Boot after we win the Premier League against Sheffield United on the last day, then we've done well. But no, I think 16 goals for him, and I think he'll be our top goal scorer. I think Ings will be not far behind, and I think Ginepro and Redmond will be quite close. And I think our assist leader will be Redmond, I think, because he was quite good on that last year, I think he might be the top guy again.
Yeah, I'm looking up some stats right now. I just am being an idiot and can't find, even though, I mean, people probably don't know. Like I pull stuff up. I don't just sit here and talk about absolutely nothing. But of course, when it comes time to actually look for the stuff, I can never quite seem to find exactly what I want to look at that moment. And really, it's okay. So as you were answering and kind of as I was asking the question, I wrote down my answer just so I wouldn't be influenced by you. So I can show you mine. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
I don't want to show you the other question. So I mean, I wasn't cheating. I think Adams will wind up with 12 goals. Which
probably sounds more optimistic than me, to be fair.
Yeah, I think 12 goals will be good. I mean, it'll be his first season in the top flight. I don't think we've had anybody in double figures, at least in the last 2 years. I remember last summer looking back as Tadic was leaving and seeing that Shane Long had a season where I think he got to 10 goals, which that says something. But I think Adams will have. I think 12 will be it would be obviously a good season for him. I think that's where he'll wind up. And I also think that Redmond will wind up being our assist leader, mostly because I think now he's got more than just look for Ings or shoot himself. He's going to have options. And depending on what role he plays, because whether he plays up as a second striker for portions of the match, whether he plays just behind the strikers, I think he will have the opportunity to wind up being our assist leader. That said, though, if we wind up playing with the back five, then I would expect either Bertrand or Valerie to be up there as well, which we will see. I think we'll have to wait and see. But I'll go with 12 and with Redmond for that. So why don't you go ahead? We have time for more questions. Let's go.
See, I don't know if we can probably cover this in a nice little thing, but a question from Southampton News now is, which players do we need to move on? I mean, I know we've covered some of them, but I think we need to cover a full who we think. I don't know if you want to go first on who. I know obviously some of the names we know already, but I don't know if you want to add to the list or on who we'd like to get rid of before the window closes, sort of thing.
All right, so I think, let's see. I think the actual people that I think must move on, like absolutely have to move on, just because of almost the toxicity of having them around, would be Lamina and Austin. I think if the window ended and they were gone, I'd be okay. Even if we still had guys on the wage bill that we would rather have gone, think of the wages of Forrester, McCarthy, all those guys. Like, I think the way the squad was built, over the past couple of seasons, we added to the squad a lot as we were qualifying for Europe. because you need a bigger squad. You've seen what happens to teams who get into Europe who are not equipped. They run themselves into the ground by February or whatever. So the squad was built for that, and then we quickly, found ourselves not involved in the competition, and so we were in trouble. So it's going to take a couple of years to sort that out, I think, and I just have resigned myself to dealing with that, even though it doesn't make me totally happy. But I think you look at the type of football that Ralph wants to play, the idea that all of this running is involved, the effort is involved, the intensity has to be there, the focus has to be there, and anybody that's taking away from that, I don't want around the club. So Lamina and Austin, I think, have to go. And then if I went to expanding that to be able to just pare down the squad a lot, I think, honestly, I'd be fine with Elyounoussi moving on if Buffal stays. I'd be fine with Stevens moving on. I would be okay with Hoot going if we got in a new center back, because we have a ton of center backs, but like we said, like none of them are quite at the elite level that we need. We are missing a Font, we are missing a Van Dijk. Somebody messaged me earlier and said we're missing a Lovren. I think his partnership with Font was great. We'll leave it at that. So I think we're missing a leader at the back, and I don't think that's a secret to anybody. So if you clear some of those guys out, maybe you get Hoot and Stevens out, you can bring in a center back for, a decent fee. And the problem is we paid, I think 15 million, maybe a little bit more than that for Hoot over the not that long ago. So what are you going to get that's better than him for 15 million at this point? Like Harry Maguire's going for what, 80, like 75, something like that. Like, so like center backs are expensive. And so I struggle to see like where we're going to get a really top of the line center back unless we wind up breaking the club record fee, which I don't know that we're in the position to do given the wages that come with it and everything else.
Yeah. I think, gleaning into my answer, I think I'm the same with you. I think Lamina and Austin are, if there was a red question mark, an exclamation mark on what's important, I think them two are important to go, because the thing is we've got to submit a 24-man squad soon, and we do. Thing is, Austin would be happy doing horse racing for the rest of the season. We know that. Lamina will be on social media saying who hates me, who doesn't hate me. We just need that out of the club. Elyounoussi, I won't go back to what I said about him, but he's another one I think I'd like to get rid of. I think he'll go on loan depending on Buffal. I think that's a tricky situation. I stated on Twitter I'd rather keep Buffal than Elyounoussi because I think Buffal's got more talent. Elyounoussi, it just hasn't worked. I mean, the person we saw against Man City, I don't know what happened to that guy. Other ones, I think Carrillo should go to either Boca Juniors or we loan him back to Pellegrini. I'm sure that was an option. I think Adam Leach said if we couldn't get rid of him, I think so. He will go, I think, regardless. The keeper situation, I think one needs to go, and I think possibly, I think one of them will go on loan. I don't know who, but I think one of them will go because we've still got Harry Lewis, who's another keeper. I think he will go. And I mean, like you said, we've got so many people here still. You forget, don't you? How many? Yeah. Honestly, we don't know what's happening with Cedric still. There's been rumours of Monaco for him. Is he going to go? I mean, I'd like to keep him because I think Valerie needs that experience battling with him. Bertrand, Sam McQueen, who no one's even mentioned this summer. I don't remember Sam McQueen. He was their choice left back. He's nowhere to be seen. I know that was a rhyme there. That wasn't meant to happen. But Sam McQueen's not around. So he's enough on what happens to Harrison Reed. I'm just thinking of Harrison Reed, what happens with him. He's been on loan the last 3 years. I think that needs to stop. I think a decision needs to be made. Either we sell him or Ralph gives him a chance. He's not under 23 bound anymore. So there's so many questions, but the main two that I'll agree with you has got to be Lamina and Austin. I still think there's people that needs to go, but it's still January for that, I think. And if there's people that want players abroad, I think transfer windows are still open for another few weeks after that, I think. I don't know which ones, but sure that could be found out somehow.
Yeah. So yeah, some of the windows do remain open just a bit longer, and that's fine. Maybe we can ship them out. But yeah, I mean, once again, you bring up Cedric, who has looked good. Who, of course, Jack wrote an article for 90 Minute for you guys that came up about, you know, what he can potentially bring to the squad and how he looks different. He looks like he's more, you know, like more committed. Is he good enough to really take that away from Valerie? I don't know. Could we use right back cover? Yeah. Like, you know, I don't think we're going to go out and get a better right back than him. But maybe once again, maybe the wages and stuff that he's on, maybe we wind up doing a little bit better there. Yeah, it's the squad is so inflated. It's tough to be able to do that. So, I'm going to go back to the Patreon members, because one of the things they get is they get priority for having their questions answered as part of the benefits of becoming a patron. So Justin Woodward says, is there any focus on the opposition during preseason, or is it a case of just getting the team to play how they want, regardless of who they are playing? I mean, for you, what is the main focus? We talked about fitness before, but do you think that the opposition is taken into account at all, or what?
That's quite a good question, actually, because I look at some clubs, like Liverpool. I mean, this was early, like they played Tranmere at the beginning of their. I'm just going through this quickly, but when you play teams that are lower league and you know you're going to win 5 or 6-0. That's why I've been quite happy with our pre-season. We've been playing clubs that are tests. I mean, we played. Preston, okay, they are a good side in the Championship. We played Feyenoord. We played. I don't know what division that. I think they were in the top division, weren't they? The one we played in Austria.
I think
were
so.
They? Yeah, they were a good opposition. Who else did we play? Oh, so we got Cologne. Is it Cologne? No, is it Cologne? Who is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got them next week, which should be. I think that the result doesn't matter, but I think the opposition's good. And that Feyenoord game was actually quite a testament for lads. There were some tackles getting in, and as the commentator, I was listening to the commentator. He said it's quite fiery here. I thought, but that's what you need. You need that preparation, because when you go to Burnley, we know what it's like. They'll be kicking us left, right, and centre, and it's not a nice game for most people. But I think the better the opposition is better for the team. That's how I look at it, because I think if you're playing, let's say, for example, no offence to anyone's listening, let's say we played Luton Town or Eastleigh or someone like that in our pre-season, you're not going to learn much from that. I mean, you've won 10-0, okay, you know you can score. So I think the opposition has to be a good level, and I understand people play like a Charlton or other teams like that, but I think your level needs to be high so you can be high for the season. But I don't know what you think on that one.
Well, I think that part of it is if you play a team, say they should have been played Eastleigh, like you always worry a little bit, like if you go too far down the ladder, do those guys come in and say, like, I'm going to make a statement here, and maybe they try to make a tackle, maybe they hurt a player. Like, you don't want that. You also want, though, to be able to have your players work out a system, you know, against a little bit of pressure. And you can do that in training. You can bring in, the younger squad and say, hey, you know, you're going to press this way. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. And you just tell the senior players, look, make these passes, make these runs, work on this. We're going to practice this. And then maybe you go and you play some lower league opposition just to step up the intensity a little bit. But then by the end of it, you have to be playing, you know, almost at full speed. And I think that's important. I think Ralph has done pretty well to manage that preseason. I don't know if I've just kind of not paid attention the last couple of years, but like it is a long process. It's a long kind of drawn out thing. And the movement back and forth between Southampton or Staplewood and traveling abroad, I think can be, you take players away from their families too much. Things can drag on and become stale. And I don't think Ralph's allowed that to happen. I think the change of scenery kind of consistently throughout the process has been good. They'll wind up back at Staplewood for, you know, after this week, and they'll be ready for Burnley. And I think they've done well. And I don't so much think it matters necessarily who they're coming up against, but you have your kind of game plan for the halves, and you see the guys that are playing. Sometimes it's a back three, sometimes it's a back four. Sometimes it's the younger guys. Sometimes it's 45 minutes or 60 minutes for certain guys. And I think the partnerships that you see developing are more important. Does it make me super excited to see that we've had Long and Adams together quite a bit? Like, I don't know, but like I think it'll wind up being Adams and Ings, and I think that'll be all right. So yeah, I mean, go ahead and why don't you pick another one? I don't even know if I answered the question, but I think I've talked about as much as I can talk about that.
Yeah, I'm actually going to look because one more patron question, which I think is quite an interesting one. It's from Kevin. It's from Kevin. He put, silly question alert. He put, if you can go back in time and rewatch a match you've already been to, which would it be? It says, if you could travel to a Saints match, Southampton game we played since you've been watching, which would it be? He said it would be the home win against Inter Milan in Europa League or the 3-2 comeback versus Liverpool. I don't know if you want to go first. You want me to go first? I don't know how you want to answer this one. Or
I got a couple in my mind, and I'll tell you that I definitely would not go back to watch the 3-0 at West Ham. I would not go relive that again. Although, to be honest, if I was given the choice to either never see another game live or have to go see that one again, I would go see it again just for the experience. And I have learned I will never ever eat on the tube again. I'm sorry, everyone in that car. But I needed it after the morning that I had, or night, whatever. It depends on what time zone you're in. But I think he brings up a couple of good examples. You think of that comeback against Liverpool. I still remember where I was when I watched that. I think maybe I would go Swansea away, the Gabbiadini goal, even though not a great game, but just the kind of feeling of being there in the rain, sitting through all of that, Gabbiadini scoring. I think that's one of those moments that I think you've sealed kind of your fate. And I think I would want to experience that, because obviously you would rather do that to win the Premier League than do that to stave off relegation. But I think that feeling is what kind of we all almost kind of what we chase as fans. Like that's, you want to feel that with your team. So I think that would be maybe one, a contender, or the EFL Cup final. I think that would also be, or I would even take the EFL Cup semifinal away when we were just holding it off against Liverpool and then long score. So I think I would take any of those would be my choices. But what about you?
Well, the EFL final makes me emotional, to be honest, because anytime I think about it, I always think Gabbiadini should have had a hat trick. So I'm not sure if I'd want to be sat in that stadium watching him getting denied his hat trick again. And the funny thing is, actually, a little note on that EFL game, Gabbiadini did an interview. I'm sure you saw it on our page. I managed to find it done quite well, actually. Gabbiadini still apparently sits on his phone and watches his goals back. And I hope he still watches his goal that was ruled out, because for me, and you ask any Saints fan, he scored that goal. He scored 3 goals. Yes, we lost 3-2, but it was 3-3. I don't care.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was 3 goals. But no, I would have said, but I went to that game. Well, there's a few actually, because I went to Southampton beating Sunderland 8-0. I mean, that was just, wow, I can't even tell you. It was one of them. It was a game where we started rubbish, but then all of a sudden we just kept scoring and scoring and scoring. It was like the atmosphere was amazing. So I'd probably put, it's a few. I think the Liverpool 3-2 game was mental. There's quite a few. The Spurs one this season when we won 2-1 with Ward-Prowse putting that free kick in. That was another one. I said it's hard to, when you think about it, obviously we had the Titanic song for Sims and Long running up Liverpool, and Sims puts it across to Long and he slides in front of the Saints fans. Pure's emotional. I'm emotional because Pure's getting emotional for once. So yeah, I don't know which one I'd pick. It is a brilliant question though, because we could probably name loads of games we've seen, couldn't we? To be fair.
Yeah. So thanks to those guys who did it, and we're going just over the hour mark, I think now, depending on what we choose to kind of shorten up and things like that. But we have questions from Ethan Ling 15. We have somebody requesting a shout out. I have no idea who that is. It's the Southampton page. So thanks for that. It's one of the things I complain to you about the most.
Sorry, that's my admin.
It's all right. Ben_McGreevy asks, as the squad is right now, who would you start against Burnley? We're going to get to that over the next couple of episodes, so don't worry. We'll have answers to that question coming soon, next week actually. And there was one that I wanted to ask before. I have one more for you after that, but the Danny Ings fan page says, I hope you don't mind if I ask you this. What position do you think Saints will finish in the season? We discussed the ceiling and the floor earlier, but if you were looking at the table right now, looking at who's there and how it all looks, where do you see us finishing? If you had to put a bet on us finishing somewhere right now.
I don't reckon I reckon first.
It's Che Adams-esque. The name fits. Yeah. The Twitter handle fits.
Yeah, right. I just thought I'd go for it. No, no, I'm not going to do that. No, in all seriousness, if I was going to place money on that, I would say 10th or 11th. But if I had to nail me on a position, I'd probably say 10th. But I'd happily lose money if we went higher, and I don't want to go lower. So higher than 10th, I'll be happy. But no, anyone thinks I'm serious about the first, I'm not. I was just a bit. I had a drink of Tango, and I've just gone a bit mental. So, and if anyone's listening, I'm sorry about promoting stuff.
Well, I hope they're listening. If they're not listening, then why? Yeah. Oh,
inbox us if you want a deal. I'm sure we can sort you something.
Yeah. The club will sign you up. Just find Les Reed. They'll sign you up to a nice long contract. You'll never move, but it'll be fine. I think 12th. I think 12th is where we will be. Will I be 100% happy with that by the end of the season, or will I feel like we've underperformed? I'm not sure. But I think 12th would be a comfortable place to finish. I think that's if I had to pick it, that's where I'll put us. I think we will continue to get better, though. I think we will see large improvements in the style of football that we play and how we go about things. I think we'll be all right. And we didn't get to some of the questions on Twitter, especially around seating arrangements and things like that. We talked about center backs. I think we got it all, but I have one more for you. Unless, are you good, or can I ask you this?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we have 3 players. We have to give one to Portsmouth on a free. We have to keep one and put him in the starting lineup, or at least in the match day 18 for the entire season. And you have to let one run your Instagram or social media accounts, all your social media accounts for the season. All right. So one's going to Portsmouth for free. One we are keeping and putting in the match day 18, and one is running all of your social media accounts for the rest of the season. So we have Mario Lemina, Charlie Austin, and Wesley Hoot. Who's going where? Who's going to Portsmouth for free? Who are you letting walk out of the club and go to Portsmouth for free?
That's got who's going to Portsmouth? See, because I know. See, it's between Lemina and Austin. I'd send. I have to quickly answer this. I'd send. I'm trying to come on, think. Oh, right, let's just do it. I'll send Austin to Portsmouth.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a toss-up between him and Lemina. Sorry about that. That's a bit of a... Sorry, I meant... sorry about... So that's not too bad, is it?
No, this is great.
Okay. Toss-up between Lemina and Austin on that one. Because I can't send them both.
Right.
So can they not both go, or...
No. One's got to go to Portsmouth. Right. One you have to keep and put in the 18, and one has to run your social media accounts without your monitoring it. They just get to do whatever they want on your social media accounts for the entire season.
All right, so one goes to Portsmouth, one runs my social media, and one stays in this. Okay. No, I'm sending Austin to Portsmouth, Lamina to. Or why am I sending Lamina? To be in the 18s for the whole season, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, him there and Wesley to run my account, but then I think he's just going to block everyone so I won't have any followers anyway.
I think I have to agree with you on sending Austin to Portsmouth. I think you just ship him out. I mean, because I'll be honest, maybe this will draw some hate. I know we have some people who live in Portsmouth and support Saints for whatever, because you move and things happen. But I
do feel sorry for them.
The picture of Portsmouth that I have in my head is not a nice one. It's not a nice. I think it. And so send Austin down there. Like, make him at least have to drive through it every day to go to training and play games. Send him down there. I think I let Lamina run my social media. Like, at least it'll be entertaining. And then put Wesley Hood in the 18. He doesn't have to play. Like, yeah, I think that's what I would. I think that's what I would do.
Fair, now thinking about it, I think I might have. I don't know if I can change, but I might have to go with you. Actually, I think you didn't. I didn't actually think about it. I thought you meant in the 18, like playing week in, week out. That's what I thought.
No, I mean, he just got to be on the bench at least.
All right, yeah, okay. Can we swap? I want Lamina to run and tell everyone that they're haters, and then I'll have Wesley Hoot, in the squad. Yeah, I'm going with you.
And I wonder.
It's a late change, but I'm going with it.
I wonder what the hashtag would be. Because if he's got
like Southampton page, I don't know.
He'd come up with something. Hopefully, it's not like lemonade. Yeah. But he'd come up with something, and then I think it would be. Yeah. I think it would just be entertaining. I might not like it all, but I think it would be entertaining nonetheless.
Well, if I would have toxic like chocolate teapot.
Maybe melt like chocolate teapot.
Melt like chocolate teapot. Yeah, that'd be my. I think that'd be a great hashtag, and I might have to keep that in mind.
There you go. That's not such a bad word that I have to block it, right? Like, we're good.
No. As I said, it's not going to get anyone in trouble. Okay. It's literally a teapot. It's chocolate.
Okay.
So
all right,
you can eat it.
Yeah,
I think.
I think it's all good, man. All right. Well, I mean, JD, do you have anything else? I think I will tell you my mood swing. It's just like I watched Saints the most, even though I didn't. My mood swing from yesterday to today has been great, and I know that the people that couldn't make the show, they didn't do it on purpose. It just sometimes I get frustrated because I have very much piled too much on my plate in a very short amount of time, and I'm trying to do too much, and it's just one of those things where you live and learn, and I won't do it again to myself. But yeah, so I thank you. First of all, I've had a great time. I've laughed a lot this morning, and I will kind of go through and cut out the parts where I don't know what I'm going to cut out, but I'll cut something out and put it up, and this will be out, in less than 24 hours.
Yeah, because once you've Googled teapot and obviously try and make sure Tango don't ban the podcast, you should be all right.
And we had a question on Chris Marsden.
Oh yeah.
And so I was looking for him, and he did kind of disappear. But the most recent thing I think I found from him was he was playing in Cyprus and living in Cyprus. He had played at a non-professional level. They won the league, and then he retired officially from that. But I didn't find anything. I think that was 2008 or 2009. There's a post on Saints Web from 2018, but it's just people talking about how they thought he was great. Yeah.
The thing is, my question would be: have they ever seen you and him in the same room? That's my question. Because you could actually be Chris Marsden, and we don't. And we, you know what I mean? You could be the reincarnation of him. We don't know.
You know what? I'm not gonna. I can't confirm or deny.
I mean, it's a good link to have. I mean, you're a legend of Southampton, so he's a great bloke, and I hope wherever he is, he's fitting well. That's all I'd say, because he's a great bloke, and he was. I mean, I like bold people anyway. I like Chaplow, so you know what I mean. We've got a thing for bold people anyway, and obviously I joined that club recently, so
yeah, well, it's growing back nicely.
yeah, we're getting there.
Well, it's still at the point where you don't have to do anything to it, which that's the main thing. Just low maintenance. And on Chaplow, I don't know, I'm sure, or maybe you do know, and he has retired from playing, and he is coaching now. So he is still enjoying his life in Southern California very much. He barbecues a lot. I follow him on Instagram. He barbecues a lot. He looks like he's mastered the Southern California grill quite well. So good for him. He doesn't listen to the show because I asked him, and but he's doing well anyway.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's something then.
Anyway.
But yeah, no, he's a great player, and he interacts with the page as well, and so does the club legend Gooley DePrado. He's a big fan of my page as well, so I thought I'd just have to get some Gooley love in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah.
All right, man. Well,
Chris Ram was talking about Gooley anyway, so I thought Chris Ram would appreciate. I'm sure he listens to the show, so yeah, there's Gooley love for you, Chris.
I don't know if he'll make it this deep, but we'll find out. You know, that's always the fun thing is when people go like, "Oh, you actually did listen to all of it," because they got it's always fun. But anyway, all right, let's wrap this up because I have to edit it, and we are going. So thanks to you for joining the show. We will have you back in a couple of weeks after the Liverpool match, and I'm looking forward to that. And of course, the Southampton page is at Southampton page on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You are the official partner of the page, and you have a partnership this year with 90 Minute Football. So be looking for things of that nature. So thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon, Jay.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I'll see you for Liverpool in a couple of weeks.
And that does it for episode 133 of the Southampton Delivery Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Special thanks this week goes out to Jay for joining me on such short notice and making the show good. So Jay, thanks for making me laugh. Thanks for being there. I just really appreciate it. The Southampton page, which Jay runs, is also the official partner page of the show. So if you don't follow Jay on Twitter, that's at CXE Adams. You can do that. You can also follow the Southampton page at Southampton page on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. There's really no reason not to. While you're on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, if you want to follow this show, you can do that. We are at SFCDELL_IVERY on both Twitter and Instagram, and we're at facebook.com/SFC Delivery. The easiest way to get to that, of course, is just to go to southamptondelivery.com. There we have all the links and all the episodes so you can listen straight from the website. You can download them. You can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Acast, Google Play, TuneIn Radio, or wherever you listen. Or you can just go to your favorite podcast app and search Delivery with 2 L's, and the show will come up. So that is how you do that if you haven't done that already. When you get there and you subscribe, the logo that you'll be looking at was designed by Matt Beling, who formerly ran the We Are Southampton page. All music for the show comes courtesy of the Free Music Archive at freemusicarchive.org. The intro song is Epic Song by Boxcat Games, and the end of show credits that you're listening to right now is Aim is True by Poddington Bear. And one more time, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody who submitted their questions. Sorry we didn't get to them all, but if you want to have priority for having your questions answered, you can do that by becoming a Patreon member at patreon.com/SFC Delivery. When you get there, you'll have access to a private Patreon-only chat. You'll have priority for having your questions answered, and not to mention a bonus podcast episode. So you can head on over there. You can sign up if you wish. If not, please share the show. Share it with a friend. Send it along to someone. Download it, subscribe for them. I don't care. Just make them listen. And most of all, just have a good day. All right. So thank you so much. We will be back next week. I'm actually out of town all weekend and through the release of the next episode. So it will all be done before I go. So if something happens over the weekend and you get to the season preview with some very special guests and things have changed, that's why. But don't worry about it. We'll talk to you then. And until then, remember that together we march on.